Okay. So, hello, and welcome to the first of a few of the Session Zero recordings, which will be up on YouTube, not streamed live on Twitch, for the new game that we run, The Crimson Queen. So, I will be going through each of the characters. We rolled initiative to see who goes first. And starting first is, of course, our character here named Tavel Tantuk. If I'm pronouncing it correctly, probably Tavel.
You're good.
The half-elf
I'm
ranger.
Tavel.
Mm-hmm. So, Lynn, why don't you give us a description of Tavel and a little bit of basic backstory up until the defining incident, which will kind of play out a little bit and talk out a little bit, which will lead us into the game as a whole. Kind of. So what does Tavel look like?
So, Tavel is a 6'1" half-elf. Tan skin, always has like stubble, 3-4 inch long hair, black, blue eyes. He grew up, a bastard. He was sired from an elf from the Elven Conclave. His mother raised him, just in the common areas. She was a seamstress, just worked as a tailor. So he grew up in the streets of Korvosa. And as he grew up, he watched the military, like the Sable Company, fly in the sky on their magnificent griffins, and he was like, and he always wanted to become one of them. So when he was old enough, he applied, joined the military academy, learned basic things until everything went awry.
Yes, and everything did go awry, unfortunately for you, which it was a, I don't know if I can say it's a tale as old as time, but it's a tale that happens in many places. It's the unfortunate thing that when your reputation gets sullied, it destroys things for you and forces you out of where you are. And in this case, perhaps it was a celebratory night on the town that started it all, with you and a number of your fellow cadets going out for some drinks after, a successful test. One that perhaps would lead you towards your goal. And it wasn't anything crazy, but it was enough that certainly things were probably a little hazy the next day. And that's when things kind of really broke down, though. When the guards showed up and drug you in for questioning. The Korvosa guards were thorough, asking you questions, telling you things, before you were accused of the murder of a local man who happened to have been at the bar that you were. Zason Botan. There had been an incident where it was something that was vague in your mind of a very rude man bothering your group for a little bit, but then he wandered off. Turns out that was Zason. Something that you would have passed off, that it was something like that. Because of also the testimony of a local fisherman who happened to be also in the bar at the time, you were on the hook for the murder. And so certainly you weren't sentenced, you weren't sent to a judiciary kind of thing for sentencing. But the case was kind of like in such a place that the guards weren't even looking more. So you were basically sent to the jail there to await, more of a sentencing, an actual kind of trial. But you were kind of railroaded in that entire thing. And if it wasn't for one of your fellow cadets who honestly was there with you, who did a little bit of investigation and managed to find some information out and actually find out that the fisherman was lying. The fisherman was frightened. He was able to get information out of it, and he was able to get the fisherman to recount his story, to say that, he remembered he'd seen something else. Enough that the case wasn't so open and shut on you. Not anymore. And that gave you at least out of jail. But what was done was done. Even though they weren't sentencing you at the time, even though, things were still not set in stone, Sable Company didn't want anything to do with you at that point in time.
I gotta clear my name.
Your friend had informed you that he had found out the name that the fisherman had said. Graydon Lamb. That was the only name he could get out. But so far, your investigation has been not as quick as you'd like. The fisherman disappeared. Probably someone got word that he had recounted when he shouldn't have.
Well, I only have this name.
You only have a name. It's a name that's whispered in places throughout the city, in certain circuits, in the criminal circuits. But it's one that's just a little hard to track down. So you find yourself disgraced, out on the streets, with a reputation to try to rebuild. Who knows if you can? But maybe.
I can do this.
And now, as your investigation kind of, I won't say draws to a head, but you get something. Something very interesting. And we're going to kind of leave off talking about what that thing is until the beginning of episode 1. But as you wake up, staying in an inn during your investigation in one of the more seedy areas of town, you notice that there is a card, a harrow card, slipped under your door with a message inside. That will lead us in for your card. So, thank you, Lynn, for sharing us with you about your character and this little bit of story that will be the opening for it. And I hope everybody else will enjoy the rest of these little vignettes to come.